Hello, you beloved child of God. Welcome to What's Up Wednesday again. I hope you're well. If you are well, congratulations for having a good day. If you're not well today, if you're not having a great day, then know that I am praying for you and know that you can reach out. As always on What's Up Wednesday, we are just kind of trying to find our way through in how we manage our day to day in a global pandemic and living with all that that means for our lives. So we're back here on Wednesday at noon, as always is the new practice. And today I wanted to talk about red flags. But first, let me talk about what that means. So, when you're not living in a global pandemic, or living through a global pandemic, when you're not having upheaval and chaos sort of all around you, most of us kind of walk through life with certain practices, with certain things we do that help us structure our days, help us find our normal, help us ground ourselves in what's really important. Um, and those can look like a lot of different things. For each of us, they're different because each of us have different priorities. So if you're a person of faith, that might be prayer practices or devotional reading. If exercise is a priority for you, maybe a daily exercise regimen or a weekly ongoing exercise regimen. If and maybe you're a journaler, and maybe that's your practice. Maybe reading to your kid is part of your practice. Even doing the dishes, cleaning the kitchen, making sure that the kitchen kind of comes back to normal after you've made a meal for your family. Even that can be kind of a practice of finding your normal, finding your center, a way of signaling to your body and to your spirit and to your emotions that all is well, everything is okay. So we all have those practices that sort of signify balance, that signify normal. And when we have a bad day, when we have a hiccup in life or things kind of get turned upside down, those practices can be very soothing. Those coming back to those practices can remind us it's okay, everything's fine. We're going to get through this one day at a time, one step at a time. Those can remind us that they can bring us back to our normal. They can bring us back into balance. They can help us find that center that we can connect to, that really sort of solidifies us, and doesn't help and doesn't allow us to just feel lost, and untethered. Kind of like an ocean, like a boat on an ocean in a storm. And so those practices can be really important. They can be really key for just managing the up and down of life. When it comes to a pandemic, or not even a pandemic, but any kind of dramatic upheaval in life, which I think we can all agree that a pandemic would qualify. When it comes to that kind of dramatic upheaval and that kind of uncertainty and anxiety and just the chaos of having everything as we knew it to be changed, those practices become lifelines that really kind of remind us day in and day out that some things don't change, that some things are still important, that we can still find that kind of rhythm to our lives, that we can still, come back to some sort of sense of normal that's within ourselves and doesn't depend on the normal that's going on or the not so normal that's going on around us. The trick, though, is that too often when things get really chaotic, when things get really abnormal, when normal goes to hell in a handbasket, let me just own that phrase, that we too often, because everything around us is kind of falling apart, we too often don't hold on to those practices. Those practices feel like luxury items that we can let go of because we don't have the time, we don't have the energy, we don't have the focus, we don't have the whatever. When really those are the practices that we need most. So those are the things I'm calling red flags today. The letting go of the really important practices that hold us to our center, that hold us to our sense of normal, that hold us to the meaning and the priorities and the balance of life. So, what are the practices that do that for you? Is it an exercise regimen? Is it a regular walking practice? Is it a connection with a friend or a family member or a colleague or someone that you engage with that causes that allows you to kind of find that normal? Is it a prayer practice? Is it devotional reading? Is it worship? Is it writing in your journal? Is it coloring in a coloring book? Is it, there's thousands of them and we all have different ones. But what is the practice for you? Or what are the practices? There may be more than one. What are those things that kind of bring you back to normal? And now let's look for the red flags. Which ones have you let go of? Which ones do you feel like, I don't have time for it? Which ones do you feel like, I can't even imagine sitting down to do that right now? There's just so much going on. Which red flags, where are your red flags? Where are those practices where you've let go of? For me, I just really recently had to kind of take myself to task, because for me, I'm a journaler. And so I've always said for decades, my whole life practically, that my brain isn't in my head, my brain is in my hand. And sometimes I don't even know what I'm thinking or what I'm feeling until I write it down. And so for those of you that have known me at any point in my life, most of you will know that I've always, since I could write, I've had a journal. But for quite some time recently, I haven't been journaling. And I just recently got back to it just a couple of months ago because I found my red flag. I thought, maybe the fact that I'm not journaling is a signifier. Maybe it signifies that not all is well in my emotions, in my spirit, and in my life. So how can I get back to that? How can I remove that red flag and say, okay, I'm gonna commit to the practices that help keep me healthy, not just my physical body, but my emotional, my spiritual, my mental. So today on What's Up Wednesday, I'm encouraging you to look for the red flags. Where have you let go of the things that your body or your spirit or your mind or your emotions or your heart, where have you let go of the practices that all of you needs? And how can you make a commitment to yourself, how can you make a commitment to your overall well-being, to do those practices on a regular basis, to engage in those practices, so that you can return to a sense of normal that doesn't rely on what's going on around us? How can you find your balance or your rhythm, even as we all find our way in this new normal of life in a pandemic? I hope you're well. I hope you're doing great. I hope you'll think more about red flags and make a commitment to yourself in the coming days for your own sake, for your own health. And until next Wednesday, be well, stay safe, and be blessed.